What is going on, everybody? Today we're looking at the Hasbro Marvel Legends Marvel Knights wave with the Build-A-Figure of the Mindless One. So in this wave, starting on the front here, we have Blade, Lady Bullseye, and Power Man. So all three of these look really cool, and you can see our Build-A-Figure pieces of the Mindless One that we'll obviously put all together. So all three of those look really cool. And behind them, we do also have the Fist Ninja, Clea, and the newer style Daredevil, which is really cool. And then, of course, also that Midnight Suns video game version of Iron Man there as well. So all of these look really cool, and again we have the Mindless One, which if we bring Blade back in we can see the head there, or spin around we can see we're going to build that there, and then all the figures of the wave itself. So it's cool to go back to these windowed packaging like the classic box designs. I like because we get little bios there on the back, of course with pictures from the comics, so all of that looks pretty cool, and I'm excited to build that Mindless One with all of these figures. So let me go ahead and get them all out of the box and we'll take a look at them together. So let's start off with Iron Man from the Midnight Suns. Now this is Tony Stark, but I could not find much of anything at all about this, like, why he looks like this. I know it has to do with the Midnight Suns game, but I couldn't find too many details except for that Tony and Doctor Strange seek the help of Johnny Blaze to stop the prophecy of the Midnight Sun. So again, that's really all I got. But I think the Iron Man looks cool. Now this is a figure I wouldn't really care about, if it wasn't a part of the wave with the Build-A-Figure piece. But overall, I think it does look pretty cool for an Iron Man, just being in the all black and gold. The black's all nice and shiny. The gold looks pretty nice as well. And then there's all sorts of like this detailing. I'll see if I can zoom in, but there's all this detailing around the face. So part of like the Midnight Sun's probably like a spell or something. So I like how it's all around the faceplate, there around the chest as well. So just all this little detail printed on there is pretty cool, and around the arc reactor itself. So that all looks pretty cool. But like I said, the black and gold, just everywhere else looks pretty awesome for Iron Man. Now this is pretty much a reuse of the Marvel Avengers game Iron Man. So a lot of it's going to be similar. The only real difference that I've noticed is the chest plate and like the shoulders and stuff, but everything else is just going to be complete reuse. But I think it looks pretty cool, like I said, just color wise alone. So it's just another nice Iron Man to add if you're doing like a Hall of Armor. But we can do the movements, so the head will twist all the way around. And now there is a hinge joint in the neck, which allows it to look down and up, but it's real stiff for some reason. But if you get it moving, it can move there and give you pretty good range. I just don't know why it's so stiff. And then we get the shoulders, which only come up a little bit about to there because these shoulder pieces are attached on and don't allow much room. So just about that far, so just a little bit back and forth. And then of course they rotate all the way around. We get a bicep twist and the double elbow joint that can bend up at least that far. It feels like can't really get much further than that, but over 90 with the wrist that'll twist around and hinge back and forth for this hand. Then we go to the ab crunch. So we got a cutout here. It's kind of hard to see, but cut out around the gold section. So crunch back and forth there. And then we twist all the way around at the waist. The hips can come up to 90 and out to the side. Thigh twist all the way around and getting a little bit stiff. The double knee joint that can bend up that far to the back is not too bad. And then we get the foot that'll flex back and forth and twist side to side. So not bad movements, some limitations as expected with an Iron Man suit, but overall it's not bad. Now accessory wise, all we do is get some additional hands. So we get hands that we can shoot the repulsors, so we'll switch these out. So there are those hands switched out, and of course we get repulsors for him as well in this red color, so we can put these in his hands. So there are those repulsors in his hands, and I think overall that looks pretty cool having him shoot those out. Now as I said, this is pretty much a body reuse of the Marvel's Avengers game Iron Man. So here's that Iron Man. As I said, the chest plate is different, so I had this design, but now it's got this big chunky plate on there, and the shoulders are a little bit different, but the arms are pretty much exactly the same with the same designs all the way to the hands. The midsection down through here are going to be the same, obviously just different painted colors, and the legs are going to be exactly the same. Pretty much just a complete reuse of this Iron Man, and the heads are going to be different as well. So overall, this is a cool looking figure. Like I said, the Iron Man in the black and gold, and I like the little writing design onto it, but this is also a figure I don't really care too much to have. Like I said, only got it for the Build-A-Figure pieces, but as I said, it does offer another armor for the Hall of Armor. And next up, we've got Blade, whose real name is Eric Brooks. His pregnant mother was having labor complications and sought help from Dr. Deacon Frost, but he was actually a vampire and feasted on her as she gave birth, as enzymes were passing into the baby's blood, tainting it with the vampire's kiss, making it half human, half vampire. And on the streets of London, he met a veteran vampire slayer, Jamal Afari, who taught Eric how to control his powers and how to kill vampires, taking on the name Blade after the weapon he used to kill them. So Blade has a hybrid physiology of superhuman strength, speed, durability, and senses, as well as a healing factor, prolonged lifespan, and is immune to vampire weaknesses such as sunlight, silver, and crucifixes. So he looks pretty cool here and looks pretty much like the Blade I know, and of course looks relatively similar to the Blade we saw in the Blade movie, the Wesley Snipes version. So overall, I think he looks pretty awesome. So I love his flat top haircut. I love like the lines he would cut in the hair there. That's awesome. And has the sunglasses on his face. Of course, has the mouth open showing the vampire teeth, which is pretty cool there. And then then mostly wears all black. So he has this black trench coat on, so a nice collar there around that coming all the way down with a nice red collar underneath, sleeves coming down that are rolled up, and then it has like an armored vest on there, so that looks pretty cool with the armor plating and a nice texture to it, belt around the waist, and pants coming down a little bit baggy with some pockets there, some knee pads all the way down to his boots. So just looks pretty cool overall. I love the mostly all black, but the red poking out from under his jacket looks pretty cool as well. So overall pretty cool and interesting design. And then he does also have the sheath here on his back to be able to store his sword. So pretty cool overall for this design. Now moon-wise, the head will twist all the way around. As you see, we have the hinge, so you can look down that far and up that far, so good for that. The shoulders can come up. Now it's hard to really get his shoulders to move. I think there's like a lump on top of the shoulder, so it doesn't really allow it to go up any further, so it's just a little bit back and forth, unfortunately. But then you can rotate all the way around. We get a bicep twist and the double elbow joint that can bend up that far, which isn't bad. The wrist will twist around and hinge back and forth. Then we get the ab crunch, so you can see the cutout there in the vest piece. So crunch back and forth. Of course, going back, we have the jacket, so can't go too much back and forth. And then twist around at the waist. Then the hips will come up to 90 and out to the side. Thigh twist all the way around. The double knee joint, that's going to be pretty stiff on him, it feels like, but can bend up that far to the back at least, with a shin twist at the top of the boot, and the foot will flex back and forth and twist side to side. So overall, he's got pretty good movements. No real issues just in the arms there, so I wish he had better range in the arms so he could get a little bit more movement out of him, but everything else about him works out pretty well. Even though with the jacket it is in the way a bit, it still works out pretty well. Now accessory wise, we do get some additional hands. We get some grip hands, so we'll probably need to switch these out to be able to hold some weapons, so let's do that. And then for weapons, first we'll look at his sword. So he just has this nice looking sword with a red handle and sort of like a cut off there, like blunt edge or whatever you want to call it. So that looks pretty cool. Now I showed this first just because we'll go ahead and stick it into the sheath here on his back just so it's stored away, but it's cool. We can obviously give that to him. He does have his glaives, or like his boomerang glaives. So I have these blades that look pretty cool, and you can throw them around and they sort of like boomerang back to him. So that's cool. So let's maybe stick one of these in his hands. So there he's got the glaive in his hand. That looks awesome. And then he does also come with some wooden stakes as well. So gotta have wooden stakes to stab vampires. So let's maybe put one of these in his other hand. So there he's got the stake, glaive, and the sword there on his back. So it's 3 different weapons. Now I wish we had places to store the stakes and the glaives. I think that'd be pretty cool, but unfortunately he can only store the sword on his back. But overall, I think that looks pretty awesome. And we have had older versions of Blade in Marvel Legends before, so here's that version. So this one has the bald head on it. Now we do also have the head that looks more like this one as well, but this is the older Blade, so you can see he has the bandolier with stakes. Of course, they're smaller stakes compared to the one that came with this. Still has the sword there on his back, and then some like silver like bullets or whatever there around his thighs, so that'd be pretty cool. But it looks like the chest plate's relatively the same, could be exactly identical, or at least it's relatively the same. Of course, this one has the bare arms and no jacket as well, but they did switch up the legs and boots and everything. So pretty cool upgrade for this version. Like I said, it's almost perfect, just wish it had a little bit more range in the arms, and then storage for all his weapons would be pretty cool, but otherwise it's a really awesome blade. And next up, we have Lady Bullseye, whose name is unknown, but she was a young girl in Japan that was imprisoned by the Yakuza to be sold into slavery. But Bullseye arrived and killed the mobsters. Witnessing this inspired her to escape and become a killer. So she went the training to become a skilled fighter and became a member of the Hand. However, she was disappointed by the Hand's leadership and wanted to bring it back to its former glory. So she approached Daredevil, but he refused. So she went to the Kingpin, and the two formed a partnership to rebuild his empire. So that all sounds pretty cool, but she has no superhuman powers, but is a master of martial arts. So we have this basic but awesome looking figure, and it does have the newer female body, so we do have the double elbow joints and the pinless joints at that, and then mostly all black and white, so pretty similar to Shriek that we saw with this body originally, but it has the cool looking face, so mostly all white on it. I assume this is all of an outfit, and then the face, kind of matches paint wise to the all white face, but has the bullseye there on her head, and then kind of like a little domino mask with horns coming off of it, a nice red lipstick, that dark red lipstick that stands out quite a bit, and then her hair's all up in a bun that has the stick spin to it. I don't know what that thing's sort of called, but that's pretty cool. It's being held together there, and she could probably pull those out and stab somebody with them if she wanted. And then, like I said, her outfit is just all this black and white design, nice swirl there, almost like a bullseye on her shoulder, with the black line sort of swirling around, and then of course coming down the arm and down her body to the leg. So I love the black attaching there across the body, and then down on her other leg she does have the bullseye there as well. So just a nice looking figure all around with the black and white, and the lines don't look all messy or anything, so they did a really good job on this. But movement-wise, we get the head that'll twist all the way around and can look down that far. And again, a hinge joint that's pretty stiff for some reason. I don't know why these are also stiff, but can get good range there if you loosen it up. But then the shoulders can come up to 90 and rotate all the way around. We get the bicep twist and the double elbow joint that can bend up that far at least, so almost all the way up on itself, with the wrist that'll twist around and hinge back and forth. Then we get the ab crunch under the chest there, so crunch back and forth and twist all the way around. And the hips will come up to 90, actually it feels like a little bit over 90 there, and out to the side. Thigh twist around, the double knee joint that bends up that far to the back, pretty much kicking her butt. And then the foot will flex back and forth and twist side to side. So really good range overall for her, so that's really nice to have. And accessory wise, we do get some extra hands, so we do get some fist hands, so if you want to have her fist fighting, but she does already have the grip hands on to be able to hold some of her weapons. So first for weapons, I'll go ahead and give it to her. We get 2 sais, so we have 2 sais, which is pretty cool, much like Electra's sais, so pretty cool for that. And we do have this right hand here that does have the holding hand for the katana, so I'll put it in there. So there's the sai in her hand. She does also come with a sword, a katana sword, which looks pretty nice again with like a reddish color handle. The handles of the sai and the sword do match, so that's pretty nice with a nice sharp point there on the end, so that's cool. Of course, know where the sword, we can put that in her hand obviously, but what I want to give her is one of her war fans, which are pretty cool. So we have the fans that open up and then have the blades on it, which look really cool, so I definitely want to give her one of these, so I'll put it in this other hand. So there, I got the war fan in her hand. So of course it's hard to get it to really look good or hold it in any certain ways because she just comes with, you know, generic grip hands and then the side grip hand, so it's hard to really get her hand to look too good, but she can hold it there, which is pretty awesome. And as I mentioned, since she does witness and see Bullseye as an inspiration to her, we did bring in the newer Bullseye as well, so you can see obviously with the Bullseye designs carrying over to Lady Bullseye, so we got both of those there. And overall I think she's awesome, a nice awesome figure body design wise, and I think the look's awesome with the cool weapons, especially that war fan, so definitely an awesome looking figure here for the Lady Bullseye. And next up, we have probably what is my favorite figure of the wave, just because I love classic looks so much. But we have Luke Cage, whose real name was Carl Lucas, and he was raised on the streets of Harlem, New York, involved in gang activity and committing various crimes. But he was arrested and sent to prison because of a former friend planted heroin at his place. And while in Seagate Prison, Luke volunteered in a secret medical research experiment dealing with cell regeneration based on a variant of the super soldier experiment. And he was immersed in electrobiochemical systems where the controls were tampered with by a prison guard trying to kill him, but it mutated his body, giving him super strength and allowing him to escape prison. Being a wanted man, he changed his name to Luke Cage and donned a costume as a hero for hire to help anyone that could meet his price. And from that experiment, he has supreme strength and a dense body resistant to physical injury, as well as accelerated healing. So he looks cool here, as I said, in the nice classic design, so like the original first appearance design of Luke Cage, and I just think it looks awesome. I just love when they do these designs because, you know, the colors are all like solid. There's no like variation or wash over them or dry brush or anything. They're just all solid. So we have this all solid yellow into the all solid black, and then yellow once again there on his boots. Love like the band around his head. So the metal band there, of course, is sort of like poofy hair, almost like an afro, but a short one. The band's around his wrist. Of course, the chain there around his waist is like a belt, and then like I said, the yellow boots there on his feet. It just looks so cool. Like I said, it could be kind of cheesy, especially like with these old classic designs, but I just love having them because I think they just stand out and look so much fun on a shelf. So definitely love having this Luke Cage now added. But movement wise, we get the head that'll twist all the way around, a little bit hard to twist there because of the color of the shirt. We can look down that far and then up that far again, another hinge in the neck. So love having the hinges just so you can get better range. The shoulders do come up to 90 and rotate all the way around. We get the bicep twist and the double elbow joint, a little bit stiff, but can bend up that far at least, so pretty good. With the wrist that'll twist around and hinge back and forth. Then we have the ab crunch. It's mostly down at the waist here, so you can crunch back and forth and twist around there as well. Then we get the hips that can come up to 90 and out to the side, thigh twist all the way around, the double knee joint that bends up that far to the back, so not too bad. Surprisingly, no shin twist at the top of the boot there, so you'd think that's where there'd be a shin twist, but there is none. And then the foot flexes back and forth and twists side to side. So pretty good movements, some stiffness in places, which just comes with the pinless joints, which he's got here, so that's not surprising, but overall works out pretty good body-wise. Now accessories, the only thing he comes with is some additional hands, so like open like gripping hands, so if you want to have those for fighting, but I think for Luke Cage having the fist hands is probably the best. And comparison wise, we have the older comic version of Luke Cage, so of course this is the more modern design of him, but the figure's obviously older. But yeah, I definitely like this older one more. Of course this is what he more looks like now. I just wish they could redesign this one to make it more body match body wise, because obviously this body's much better than this older design. But there's the variation in time of the original to the more modern versions of Luke Cage there, and I definitely love this figure. And next up we have the Fist Ninja, which unfortunately I couldn't find a whole lot about, except that the Fist is an organization dedicated to oppose the Hand and rebuilt and led by Elektra and Daredevil in the more modern times. So that sounds pretty cool, and pretty much going to be exactly the same as the Hand. It's just supposed to be the good guy side, led by Daredevil and Elektra, which we have those more modern versions. We'll see the Daredevil later. So it looks pretty cool, and it looks relatively exactly just like the Hands. The only real difference is that he does have the Fist logo there on his arm, and of course hand, fist, a lot of it's exactly the same. But this is going to be the exact same figure, just obviously repainted this time. Looks relatively the same to the Hand. It looks like it may be a little bit brighter red compared to like a maroon color or whatever, but it could just be minor variations or lighting. But he's got the red balaclava covering most of his face there with the hood on top, and I love the white eyes in there. It looks pretty cool. And then the red gi design going down the center with the cloth hanging down in the front, the belt around the waist with the pockets, and does have a little strap here so you can stick a sword in there. Body wise, it's going to be like I said exactly the same, but this time he has this gray strap running across there, which I think is just part of the gi folded over. But yeah, it's going to be painted gray this time, as well as gray sleeves, and the gray going down to the boots with the tabby style shoes there. So we got the toe shoes all in red, and then the red wrist wrappings going up the arm there as well. So it looks pretty much like I said exactly the same. The only real difference is this gray strap and obviously the coloring, and then this belt design added around the waist that sort of matches with like Elektra and everything there, which is cool. But moon-wise going to be the same as the others as well, so the head can twist all the way around, can look down a little and up a little. So again, has that hinge joint, but it's pretty stiff, so you don't really get too much movement, just a little bit back and forth. The shoulders come up to 90 with the butterfly joint and rotate around. We get the bicep twist and the double elbow joint that bends up that far at least, and the wrist will twist around and hinge back and forth. Then we go to the ab crunch, so we have the upper ab crunch section, so crunch back and forth and twist around just a little. And then we have the lower cutout crunch there, so crunch back and forth. But then the hips will come up to 90 and out to the side, thigh twist all the way around, the double knee joint that bends up that far to the back, a shin twist at the top of the boot, and the foot will flex back and forth and twist side to side. So as I said, that's the exact same movements that the Hand Ninja had and everything, so again, nothing really new. But accessory wise, we do get some additional hands. So we have hands to hold with like grips and stuff. Look like they have kind of like trigger fingers, but don't really need that. But we will switch these out to give him some weapons since he just has the fist. So with those hands, we can give a weapon. So first we have the Kama, which is this cool like scythe looking weapon. Of course, we've seen this with the Hand Ninjas, so let's maybe stick that in this hand. And then we also get a katana for the other hand. So the sword, like pretty much the exact same sword we saw with Blade, just probably different handle color. Now with the other like Hand Ninjas and stuff, they had the sheath on the back that we could store it in, but he has the little slot here in the belt that you can take and slide this into, so you can store it off to his side like that if you want. But we'll go ahead and just put this into his hand. So there, I just got the sword in his hand like that, so ready for attack. And then finally he does also come with an additional head with this skull head, and of course has the hood on it and everything, so that looks pretty cool. So let's maybe try and switch this out. So there, he's got the skull head, and I think that looks awesome. That is such a cool looking head for that, so that's probably what I'll leave on. And then of course, comparison wise, we do have those Hand Ninjas. So we have the original Hand Ninja in the red, and then the Hand Ninja in the black as well. And again, they're going to be the exact same body and everything, just repainted and a little bit of redesign for this newer one. But still pretty cool to have the Fist Ninja there to go along with our Elektra and Daredevil we'll see later. And next up we have Clea, which is the daughter of Prince Orini, the son of the ruler of the Dark Dimension, and Umar, the sister of Dormammu. And Dormammu's plan to conquer Earth led to a confrontation in the Dark Dimension with Doctor Strange, who Clea saw for the first time and was impressed by him, so she tried to save his life, and for this Dormammu imprisoned her for her betrayal, but fought Doctor Strange, and during this time the Mindless Ones escaped their imprisonment, so Dormammu and Strange had to work together to contain them, and in Strange Strange's death, Dormammu did not invade Earth and decided to release Clea, so Strange brought her to Earth where she studied in the Sanctum Sanctorum to regain her magic abilities, and they grew very close, where she eventually returned to the Dark Dimension to overthrow her parents and become the new ruler of the Dark Dimension, but her relationship with Strange would continue on with brief visits to Earth, and the two would eventually get married. But for her powers, she has superhuman durability and flight, as well as sorcery with many magical abilities, way too many to even list, but I think she looks awesome here. This is such, I want to say, like a beautiful figure. Just the colors of the purple and blue look awesome together, and then I think the face looks really nice. They did a good job with like the makeup design and the overall face, and of course like the platinum blonde hair with like the curls and stuff they did to it looks pretty awesome as well, sort of like flowing in the wind. And then as I said, the outfit design with the mostly all black base body, so down the neck, down the arms, and down the leg just all black, and then has the outfit design on, so we have the darker sort of blue color in the midsection with the purple up on the shoulder guards, and then purple there for the gloves, purple wrapping around the waist, and then down the leg we have all these circles all in purple all the way down to the feet as well. So like I said, I just think this figure looks nice because it's the colors stand out, everything about it looks very nice and appealing, so very nice looking figure overall. But movement wise, we get the head that'll twist all the way around. You got to be careful. The hair there can twist all the way around though. And then with the hinge can look down that far and then up just about straight because of the hair in the back, but has some movement in there at least. Then we get the shoulders that do come up to 90 and rotate all the way around. Now, the one thing I don't like about this is she only has the single elbow joint, so it only bends that far, unfortunately, not even to 90 with the rotation. And then the wrist will twist around and hinge up and down there. But then we get the ab crunch just under the chest, so crunch back and forth and twist all the way around. The hips will come up to 90 and out to the side. Thigh twist all the way around. The double knee joint that can bend up that far to the back, almost kicking her butt. And then we get the foot that'll flex back and forth and twist side to side. So pretty good movements overall, like I said, except for those elbow joints. I wish she had the double elbows just to get better range, but everything else about her works out really nice. Now, accessory wise, she does come with some additional hands, so we get fist hands there in the purple, but we don't really need that since she does have the magic powers and stuff. We'll just keep the magic hands on, much like Doctor Strange's. And with that, we do also get some effects, so this nice purple effects that we can put up on our arms. So there are the magical effects on her arms, adding a little more detail and pizzazz to her, showing off some of her powers. So I think that looks awesome. I wish it'd be a little bit different color so it'd stand out a little bit more, but I think again with that purple it just stands out really nice on the body, so looks awesome there. And of course, as I mentioned, since she is married to Doctor Strange, we do have this Doctor Strange here, so we can have the happy couple, I guess you'd say happy couple, of Doctor Strange and Clea there. Both are like Sorcerer Supreme, just one of the Dark Dimension and one of our world, so very cool to have both of these together now. I think they look awesome together. And our final basic figure of the wave is Daredevil, of course, Matt Murdock, and he was blinded as a child when a truck crashed and radioactive isotopes spilled onto his face, but his other senses were amplified to superhuman levels, and years later he would become a lawyer and start his life as a costume crime fighter known as Daredevil. But following his release from prison for murder, he reunited with Elektra, whom had reformed the Fist and taken over as Daredevil. They both began to protect the city as Daredevil together and took down Fisk, then turning their attention to taking down the Hand. And of course, as Daredevil, he has superhuman senses, reflexes, and agility, as well as peak human strength and speed, and his radar senses. And overall, this looks pretty cool again with this newer Daredevil design, very similar to the Elektra we've already had as Daredevil. So I think he looks awesome here. So he still has the Daredevil influence, of course, has the double D on his chest, and then the helmet with the horns and the all red eyes. I think that looks pretty awesome, but I like how it's sort of cut off so you can see more of his face. So I love like his red hair coming through with his beard, so he's got this nice bushy beard. Looks like a little bit messed up on the chin. I don't know if that's the design or if he's all scarred up there. Not exactly sure what's going on in like the chin section there, but then he has a little bit longer hair and again with the red color sort of hanging down. And I love, at least I assume that's what it's design wise, looks like the helmet has been cut off a little bit, so I love how the lines aren't exactly straight and just add some more detail there. And then we got his outfit again, a lot of red to it, but some black details now. I love how he has like the little scarf, whatever there around his neck as well, similar to the Elektra. The suit has some armor built into it, like armor there up on his shoulders, and then black down the midsection and the arms with the red wrappings all the way up like Elektra as well. Belt around the waist with the holster to hold his billy clubs, and then he's got the puffier black pants, almost like the ninja pants, which are pretty cool, and then has the black wrappings for his shoes or whatever we'll call it there, covering his feet all the way up his shins, which looks pretty nice. So very nice looking Daredevil, I must say. This thing looks awesome. But movement-wise, we get the head that'll twist all the way around. He can look down, pretty much nothing because his beard's hitting the scarf there, so it only goes a little bit. So just a little bit of rocking back and forth. but the shoulders do come up to 90 and rotate all the way around. We get a bicep twist and the double elbow joint that can bend up that far, so all the way up on itself, and the wrist will twist around and hinge back and forth for this hand. Then we get the ab crunch. You can see the cutout there, so crunch forward, crunch back, so really good crunching and twist all the way around at the waist just under the belt. The hips can come up to 90 and out to the side. Thigh twist all the way around. The double knee joint, which has a weird sort of knee design, but does bend up that far, which isn't bad at all. No shin twist or anything, but the foot will flex back and forth and twist side to side. So pretty good range overall for this. Nice smooth movements and everything. Again, the pinless joint, so a little bit of stiffness, but everything else works out really nice about him. And like I said, I just love the look of this figure overall. Now, accessory wise, he does come with, of course, his billy club, so he could, put these into his hands, and it has the thing where you can connect them together, so make it more of the stick form, or take and stick these into the holster here on his thigh. So they're all stored in there, so I'll just probably do that for now. And then he comes with this cool weapon of this staff with like blades on the end of it, so that looks pretty cool. So let's try and put this into his hand. So there he's got that staff, and I could be wrong, but it does look like with the split here that it could be his billy clubs just with these attachments on the end of it. But again, with the newer Daredevil stuff, I don't know exactly what's going on with that there, but I think that looks pretty cool. So he has that bladed weapon there in his hand, so that looks awesome. And of course, with Daredevil, we have our older Daredevils, we have our newer Daredevil figure, so there's of course comparison to what he looks like nowadays compared to the old classic Daredevil design, which is cool. And of course, we can bring in our Electro Daredevil, so there they have very similar matching outfit designs and everything, and working together a part of the fist. And of course, with that, we can bring in our fist ninjas as well, and we do have at least 2 of these, so we can sort of set up a little display with both Daredevils and the fist behind them, so that is pretty cool as well. So overall, once again, with this Daredevil like mini figures in this wave, I absolutely love this figure. I think he looks awesome, and especially having him to go along with that Elektra is really cool. So absolutely love this Daredevil figure. And that brings us to our build-up figure of the Mindless One, which is an unstoppable engine of destruction created by Clea. So if a rival was becoming too powerful, he would release them to use up the resources fighting against the Mindless Ones. But they were released into the Dark Dimension by Dormammu's expansion by acquiring a reality that contained them. But Dormammu was able to drive them into a small region and enclose them by a magical shield. And overall, I think he looks really cool. So when I first saw this and they announced this was the build figure, I'm like, oh, that's pretty stupid. Of course, I never heard them before, but I think having them in figure form here and just in hand, it is awesome. So it's a big chunky figure, as you know most Build-A figures are. Looks pretty awesome, nice big thick character, and you'll see at the end when we have all the characters together just how big he is. And I just love the design. So it looks like he's made of like lava rock or volcanic rock, whatever you call it. So he's all black, does have a little bit of like shading on. You can see like in his chest there is some reddish or brown design sort of sprayed on there, and like on his thighs and stuff. So I like that, but it's mostly all black otherwise. And I love how he's all lumpy with like rocks and stuff all over him, and then like the segmented layer again, just like volcanic rock is. I think it's just so awesome. He's got the big chunky feet there, the big hands with the 4 fingers, and he's just thick all over, and of course the big like ball like head with the like one eye, I guess you'd call it one eye, I guess it could almost be like a visor, but the nice red eye section in there looks awesome as well. And for powers, pretty much all he's got is superhuman strength and then an optic blast, which we'll see some of that with his powers as well. So overall, I do really like this figure, and like the rest of the wave, I really like this as well. So having it in hand has really changed my mind, and I absolutely love this thing. So this is an awesome Build-A-Figure. Obscure, but still awesome. But moon-wise, we'll get the head that'll twist around. It'll be able to twist it around a little. It's pretty stiff, but can twist a little bit around in there, and then can look up and down a little as well. So not the best range of movements, but it does have it in there. You just got to sort of mess with it. But then we go to the shoulders that come up that far at least. So he has this rock chunk there that won't allow it to go any further. So about 45 and can rotate all the way around. We do get a bicep twist and the single elbow joint that bends to 90 with the rotation. And then we get the wrist that'll twist all the way around and hinge back and forth just a little bit. Then we go to the ab crunch in the middle, so it can crunch back and forth and twist around just a little as well. Then we go down to the hips that can come up pretty close to 90 there, and then out to the side, almost doing the splits it looks like. Some thigh twists are just right under the ball with the single knee joint that bends back just that far, so again maybe like 45, and has the twist in it as well. All the way down to the foot that can flex back and forth and twist side to side. So he's a big chunky character, so you don't get the best movements overall out of him, but I do think he looks pretty awesome as well. And like for why I am surprised with what movements he does have overall, it's kind of surprising. But accessory wise, which it's surprising that build figure does come with some accessories, he gets some additional hands. So we got fist hands, so if you don't want to have the more open grippy hands there. And then he does also come with his blast effect. So this little effect piece, I don't really know, I think it goes like this, and you just sort of clip it. So it has this little section here that I think you just take and sort of like clip it in around the eye section. So there it's kind of like he has this sort of effect, almost like we get with Cyclops and stuff, where it has some like remnants of the effect sort of flowing out there. So I think that looks pretty cool having that effect on there for the eye blast. And as I mentioned, he has a lot to deal with the Dark Dimension and Dormammu. So we have our Dormammu figure here as well that can go together, and you can just see how he's almost the same height as Dormammu, a little bit shorter, but the thickness and everything of him is quite big as well. For this old Dormammu figure, that's quite big as well. So it's really cool to get this Mindless One build figure. Like I said, obscure character, but having the figure in hand, it is really cool. Well, that's going to be it for our Marvel Legends Marvel Knights wave with our Build-A-Figure of the Mindless One. Such a cool wave overall. I really like a lot of these characters and design-wise, especially pretty much from this section over. I love all of these figures. I don't really care too much for the Fist Ninja just because it's just a repeat of the Hand Ninja, but I still think it looks cool, especially with that skull mask. And the Iron Man, like I said, the only real benefit of is being able to add to our Hall of Armor, but otherwise I don't really care too much for either of those. But every other figure from Lady Bullseye over is just absolutely awesome. I love them. These are really cool like upgrades for like Blade. I love the getting classic design of Luke Cage, and then having the other figures. So first time with Clea and Lady Bullseye and this newer version of Daredevil, and that Mindless One is just awesome. So many cool figures in this wave that just make it awesome and make me really happy that I bought this wave to get so many cool figures added. So let me know what you thought of this wave though down in the comments, and if you enjoyed this review, let me know with a thumbs up. But thank you all for watching. I hope you all stay awesome out there, and I'll see you in our next review.